Good evening. The hijacking of Pan Am Flight 73 is over, but the cost has been very high. Many passengers who were on board the plane are in shock. Many have been wounded in the final orgy of violence. And some passengers, plus two of the hijackers, have been killed.
In 1986, Pan Am Flight 73 became a nightmare for hundreds of passengers. What was supposed to be a routine layover in Karachi turned into a deadly hostage crisis that would leave an indelible mark on aviation history. But in the face of violence, one brave flight attendant risked everything to save countless lives. This is the story of the Pan Am Flight 73 hijacking.
Transatlantic passengers pay an extra $5 per ticket for the procedures. But the system apparently was not in effect in Karachi, Pakistan. According to Pan Am, security at Karachi airport is handled by the Pakistani government. And although Pan Am says it approved the security procedures used there, no Pan Am employees took part in the security measures.
Pan American World Airways, known as Pan Am, was a famous American airline that operated from 1927 until it closed in 1991. By the 1980s, Pan Am was a major international airline with a vast global network. Flight 73 was a regular international flight from Bombay to New York, stopping in Karachi, Pakistan, and Frankfurt, Germany along the way. The Boeing 747-120 used for Flight 73 was one of Pan Am's jumbo jets, which were known for their large passenger capacity and ability to fly long distances. On September 5, 1986, the flight took off from Bombay with 394 passengers and 9 infants, an American flight crew, and 13 Indian flight attendants.
On behalf of Pan Am and the entire crew, it is a pleasure to welcome you on board paper flight number 73 to Karachi, with continuing services to Frankfurt and New York. Our flight time to Karachi will be 1 hour and 20 minutes, and we will be cruising at an altitude of 35,000 feet.
It all began shortly after 109 passengers got off the plane, and new passengers started boarding. Suddenly, 4 hijackers dressed as airport security guards made their move. They arrived in a van with a siren and flashing lights, firing shots into the air to create chaos. Can you imagine the panic on the tarmac? 2 of the hijackers were wearing the blue uniforms of the Pakistan Airport Security Force, while another wore traditional Pakistani clothing and carried a briefcase full of grenades. As this chaos unfolded, gunfire outside the plane itself killed 2 Kuwait Airlines staff members working nearby. Inside the plane, the hijackers forced a flight attendant to close the door by shooting at his feet. One brave flight attendant, Mirja Bahan, stayed hidden and managed to relay the hijack code to the cockpit crew. Thanks to her quick thinking, the pilots escaped through the overhead emergency hatch, which made the aircraft immobile. Within about 40 minutes of landing, the hijackers had full control of the plane. The hijackers were heavily armed with assault rifles, pistols, grenades, and explosive belts. Their van had been modified to look like an airport security vehicle, allowing them to pass through a security checkpoint and reach the aircraft's boarding stairway. After taking control of Pan Am Flight 73, the lead hijacker, Safarini, quickly realized the cockpit crew had escaped. This forced him to negotiate with officials. To create chaos, he ordered first and business class passengers to move to the back of the plane, while those at the back were told to move forward. With the plane nearly full, passengers ended up sitting in the aisles, galleys, and door exits. Imagine the fear and confusion during this moment. Around 10 a.m., Safarini walked through the plane and found Rajesh Kumar, a 29-year-old American citizen originally from Kenya. Kumar was living in Huntington Beach, California at the same time. Safarini forced Kumar to come to the front of the plane, kneel at the doorway, and face forward with his hands behind his head. He then told the officials, especially Viraf Daroga, head of Pan Am's Pakistan operations, that if the crew didn't return to the plane within 30 minutes, Kumar would be shot. As the minutes ticked by, Safarini grew impatient. He dragged Kumar and, in front of horrified witnesses, both inside and outside the plane, shot him in the head. He then threw Kumar's body out of the plane onto the ramp below. Although Pakistani personnel on the ground reported that Kumar was still breathing when placed in an ambulance, he was pronounced dead on the way to the hospital. This brutal act must have sent shockwaves of terror through everyone present. After this, Safarini rejoined the other hijackers and ordered flight attendants Nirja Banat, Sunshine Vesuwala, and Madhvi Bahuguna to start collecting passengers' passports. The attendants followed his orders, but they were quick thinking. Believing the hijackers would target American passengers, the attendants hid some American passports under seats and threw the rest down a rubbish chute. Their bravery and quick thinking helped to protect some of the passengers from further danger. When Sunshine first saw a man dressed in a security uniform holding a gun to a passenger's head, she wasn't afraid. We thought there was something wrong with the passenger, that he was a smuggler or something, she says. Then he grabbed the flight attendant, Nirja Banat. That was when we realized it was us they were after. Before the attackers could find the pilots, Sunshine was called. I was on my knees in the aisle. Everyone had to put their hands in the air and just be quiet. He called up, "You come here." So I got up and went. She was asked to point out the cockpit and tried to stall. When the attackers realized the pilots had left, they asked her if they were men. I said yes. He said they had run away, and he laughed. After the flight attendants collected the passports, Nirja Banat used the intercom to call for Michael John Thexton, a British passenger, to come to the front of the plane. Thexton was on his way back to England after visiting Pakistan. He'd been on a personal pilgrimage to Board Peak, where his brother had died of altitude sickness in 1983. He boarded the flight in Karachi and planned to change planes in Frankfurt for a connecting flight to London. When Thexton came to the front, he found himself face to face with Safarini, the lead hijacker, who was holding his passport. Safarini asked Thexton if he was a soldier or had a gun. Thexton replied no. Safarini then made Thexton kneel and told officials that if anyone approached the plane, he would kill another passenger. Viraf Daroga, Pan Am's head of operations in Pakistan, told Safarini there was a crew member on board who could use the cockpit radio for negotiations. Safarini then asked Thexton if he wanted a drink of water, to which Thexton said yes. Safarini also asked Thexton if he was married and complained about how Americans and Israelis had ruined his life. This shows that even hijackers can have moments of humanity, though they are deeply conflicted. Surprisingly, one of the hijackers ordered Thexton back to his seat. Years later, Thexton had a chance to ask the hijackers why he hadn't been shot. The hijacker explained that when Thexton mentioned his brother's death and his desire not to leave his mother childless, he felt sympathy and spared him. With the plane out of power and in near darkness, a hijacker at the L1 door said a prayer and aimed at the explosive belt worn by another hijacker, hoping to cause a massive explosion to kill everyone on board. Thankfully, this plan failed. The hijackers then began shooting into the cabin and throwing grenades. The bullets caused the most damage, bouncing off the cabin walls and turning into deadly shrapnel. Despite the chaos, an air hostess at the L3 door managed to open it. Though the slide didn't deploy, several passengers and crew jumped down the 15 feet to the ground.
One of the Americans was a naturalized U.S. citizen, Rajesh Kumar, and they made him kneel down and they mocked him and asked him with a gun to his head, "Are you scared? Are you scared?" Then they shot him and dumped his body off onto the tarmac. And after some time, and they gathered all the passengers in the middle of the plane and they shot at them. They threw hand grenades, just opened up automatic rifles, and injured many children on the plane.
Passenger Dick Melhart unlocked the R3 door over the wing, allowing more passengers to escape. A ground staff member trapped on board opened the R4 door, which had an emergency slide. This slide allowed many passengers to evacuate safely. After 17 hours, the hijackers on Pan Am Flight 73 opened fire and set off explosions. Nirja Banat opened one of the airplane doors. Although she could have escaped first, she chose to help other passengers instead. A surviving passenger recalled she was guiding the passengers to the emergency exit. The terrorists were firing constantly, fearing a commando attack. They saw Nirja relentlessly trying to help 3 unaccompanied children, among others, out. That's when they caught her by her hair and shot her point blank. One of the children she saved was 7 years old at the time. He later became a captain for a major airline and says Nirja has been his inspiration, crediting her for his life. Nirja was internationally recognized as the heroine of the hijacking and became the youngest recipient of the Ashka Chakra Award. India's highest award for bravery during peacetime. Neerja's actions saved many lives and also helped prevent the hijackers from taking off with the plane. Her courage did not go unnoticed. She posthumously received several awards for bravery, including recognition from the US government and the Tamga-e Pakistan from Pakistan itself, an award for showing great human kindness.
First bus had already gone and its passengers had already gone. Our bus went up to the part where we were supposed to embark on the plane, but they closed the doors and we saw an air hostess being taken at gunpoint, and we saw the crew who was jumping down.
2 airport workers were shot. Later, they described what they saw.
The time was about 5:45 or 6, and next to us was parked the airplane. The people were identifying their baggage, putting a cross on their baggage. Suddenly, we heard the firing.
The 4 hijackers were later identified as Zaid Hassad Abd al-Latif Safarini, also known as Mustafa, Jamal Saeed Abdul Rahim, also known as Fahad, Muhammad Abdul Khalil Hussein al-Rahal Yal, known as Khalil, and Muhammad Ahmed al-Manawar, known as Mansour. Another accomplice, Wadawid Muhammad Hafiz al-Turki, known as Hafiz, was identified and arrested by Pakistani authorities a week later. In September 2001, Zaid Hassan Abd al-Latif Safarini was handed over to the FBI from a Pakistan prison. He confessed to his crimes as a member of the Abu Nidal Organization, ANO, a designated terrorist group. In May 2005, Safarini received a 160-year prison sentence in the United States. The other 4 hijackers were deported by Pakistan authorities to Palestine and Israel in 2008. In August 2003, Libya accepted responsibility for the bombing of Pan Am Flight 103, but did not address its involvement in the Pan Am Flight 73 hijacking. Libya offered $2.7 billion in compensation to the families of Pan Am Flight 103 victims and $170 million to the families of UTA Flight 772 victims in 2004. However, 7 American UTA victims' families rejected this offer and instead sought $2.2 billion from Libya. From 2004 to 2006, the US and the UK improved relations with Libya, resulting in lifted sanctions and removal from the list of state sponsors of terrorism.
Doctors say a teenaged boy remains in critical condition after undergoing surgery for a bullet wound in the head. The boy is hospitalized in Landstuhl with his mother, who suffered 2 broken heels when she leaped from the plane Friday night. Another American, a 16-year-old girl, is listed in satisfactory condition with gunshot wounds in the face and shoulder. 3 other U.S. nationals, some of whom were operated on Sunday, are listed in good condition. Doctors say 2 small children who weren't hit by gunfire but suffered psychological trauma were also being treated.
In June 2004, families from Pan Am Flight 73, a group of victims' families, formed to seek justice and a memorial for those killed in the hijacking. In April 2006, Crowell and Mooring LLP, representing surviving passengers and victims' families, filed a $10 billion civil lawsuit in the United States District Court against Libya, al-Gaddafi, and the 5 convicted hijackers. The lawsuit alleged Libya supported the Abu Nidal organization and sponsored the hijacking as part of a terrorist campaign against American, European, and Israeli interests. British media criticized the normalization of relations between Gaddafi and the West, reporting in March 2004 that Libya was behind the hijacking. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more inspiring stories. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and join us next time for more stories of bravery and resilience.